Hello fellow shooting mechanics, how are you doing today? Sorry for this late video, it's been a while. Good news, I got a new camera, and I got a new computer, and I'm experimenting with some new software. So, the big thing has happened. Donald Trump has been acquitted on both charges of impeachment. Thank God. Not that I had any doubts at all, but now we're going to go through CNBC's site and see what they had to say about it. I know they're biased, but it's very hard to find anything on the Trump acquittal that isn't extremely biased these days. So I'm just gonna go through some of the few key points real quick. If I won't get ads popping up every second. So it says key points. The acquittal vote was the final step in a 2-week trial marked by impassioned arguments from the House Democrats and President Trump that President Trump was a danger to the nation, and a stalwart support from Senate Republicans. Senator Mitt Romney, who delivered a strong searing commendation of the president's actions earlier that day on the floor of the Senate, broke with his party to vote to convict Trump for abuse of power. Trump was accused of abusing his power by pressuring Ukraine to announce a probe into former Vice President Joe Biden and his son Hunter. So, those are the key points. Let's read on. It says Washington, the Senate on Wednesday voted to acquit President Donald Trump on both counts in his impeachment trial, which is a good thing because he's not guilty on any of them. If anything, he's been trying to snuff, all the corrupt government. And it says 48 senators, including one Republican, found Trump guilty of abuse of power, while 52, all Republicans, voted to acquit him. The president was also impeached on the charge of obstruction of Congress, which all 53 Republicans found him not guilty, and the remaining 47 senators voted to convict. So this is kind of where it comes down to voting for your party. All the Republicans voted to acquit, all the Democrats voted to convict, except for Mitt Romney on one of those articles, broke that pattern for a second. But except that one part, these people are just voting for their party. I think they call it party voting or party line, or something I'm not sure what they call it. I know there's a name out there. Democrats will vote for anything if it has a D next to their name, as long as it's not an R. It could be a fucking bowl of fried rice, as long as it has a D next to its name, they'll vote for it. But I've known Republicans that will vote for Democrats, just sometimes they think they're a better overall candidate. Cooper, what are you doing, bud? This is my dog. I don't know if you can see him. Cooper, say hi. Can you say hi? Oh, yeah, you're a good boy, aren't you? Yeah, and it says, impeachment rules require 67 votes in the Senate to convict a president and remove him from office. With a 53 to 47 Republican majority, the odds that Trump would be convicted were slim from the start. Senator Mitt Romney, Republican in Utah, who delivered a long, searing condemnation of the president's actions earlier in the day on the floor of the Senate, broke with his party to vote to convict Trump on the abuse of power count. So, what does all this mean? What I think this means is that, nothing wrong with being a free spirit, but I can understand why the Republican Party would feel betrayed by his vote. Not only would the Republican Party feel betrayed by this vote, but when we know Trump isn't guilty of any of those things, it isn't just the betrayal of his vote. Everyone that voted to convict, obviously, I think are pretty ill-informed on what's actually going on. And who knows why he even voted that way? Who knows if there are any influences that caused him to vote that way that we may not know about? I'm not suggesting there is, but I'm just saying it could be a possibility that may have happened. And Donald Trump tweeted, I will be making a public statement tomorrow at 12 p.m. at the White House to discuss our country's victory from the impeachment trial. That was on February 5th, so he would have been making that statement on the 6th. And here it says, the House voted on December 18th to impeach Trump on 2 articles. So this was when Nancy Pelosi was real gung-ho on trying to impeach him. Honestly, now he probably has more supporters than ever. Because people see this goose chase, they see this witch hunt, and they know what they're doing to him isn't right, And it's simply just because they want the Republican out of office and wanted to be replaced by a Democrat. And let's not just pretend that this is only a Trump thing. This is a Republican thing. They wouldn't have treated any other Republican in office any different. Say he were to get impeached. Would they really treat the vice president, which would have been the president, any different? Would they really have treated Mike Pence any different than Trump? No. They would have just pulled more charges out of their ass and voted to impeach. And given the opportunity, there's a chance they could have gone all the way down the line until they just found a Democrat in that line somewhere. Cooper, what are you eating? Cooper, what is that? Hey, don't eat that. Anyway, Cooper, I threw it over the fence. Not going to be able to find it. Anyway, sorry about that. And it says Trump was accused of abusing his power by pressuring Ukraine to announce probes into former President Joe Biden and his son Hunter, as well as a debunked conspiracy theory about the interference of the 2016 election, while withholding nearly $400 million in congressionally appropriated military aid for the country. Well, everyone knows Joe Biden is crooked, and they both know that Joe and Hunter Biden were like using campaign funds or Air Force Two for private business or something like that. And when the other country wanted to launch an investigation or something about it, I don't fully know what's going on. But Joe Biden's like, oh, I'll give you guys $1 billion to fire this prosecutor. And then the prosecutor got fired. That's at least bribery, right? And plus, bribery makes you look really guilty. But if I'm wrong on any of this stuff, feel free to remind me below in the comments. And I'll come up with another video, re-explaining the situation with new correct information. So don't be afraid to let me know if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, in fact, I expect you to tell me that I'm wrong. Believe that. Now, it says Democrats argue that Trump sought to cheat the 2020 presidential election by coercing a foreign ally to smear his possible opponent with the stain of a criminal probe. They also argue that Trump obstructed Congress by refusing to hand over any documents on the House's probe and by pressuring potential witnesses not to comply. Trump has denied any wrongdoing. So, let's see if we can take a look at what the video says. Probably won't watch all of it, but...
Well, thank you very much. I'm working very hard for you, I will tell you. And sometimes you don't make it easy, and I certainly don't make it easy on you. And I will continue that tradition, if I might, this morning. And Arthur, I don't know if I agree with you. But I don't know if Arthur's going to like what I'm going to say. But I love listening to you. It's really great. Thank you very much. And thank you, Congressman, for the great job you've been doing and the relationship and the help. You're a warrior. Thank you very much. And Kevin, you're a warrior. Thank you. The job you've done is incredible. It wasn't supposed to be that way. A lot of extra work, unnecessary work. It's wonderful to be with the thousands of religious believers for the 68th annual National Prayer Breakfast. I've been here from the first one, where I had the privilege of being asked. I've been with you for a long time before that, and we've made tremendous progress, tremendous progress. You know what we've done. I don't think anybody's done more than all of us together during this last 3 years, and it's been my honor. But this morning we come together as one nation, blessed to live in freedom and grateful to worship in peace. As everybody knows, my family, our great country, and your president have been put through a terrible ordeal by some very dishonest and corrupt people. They have done everything possible to destroy us, and by so doing, very badly hurt our nation. They know what they are doing is wrong, but they put themselves far ahead of our great country. Weeks ago and again yesterday, courageous Republican politicians and leaders had the wisdom, fortitude, and strength to do what everyone knows was right. I don't like people who use their faith as justification for doing what they know is wrong. Nor do I like people who say, "I pray for you," when they know that that's not so. So many people have been hurt, and we can't let that go on. And I'll be discussing that a little bit later at the White House.
Nancy Pelosi down at the bottom corner. God, no matter where she's at, she looks at this guy. She looks at him with such disgust at all times. Oh, and don't think we forgot about her ripping up the papers at the State of the Union. That wasn't even that long. It was only a few days ago. I still think about that. And not to mention, the papers were pre-ripped. And her standing up, making sure the camera saw her do it, standing up, tearing those papers. It's like, Nancy, that was the most childish thing I've ever seen. The thing that would have made it worse is if she started hitting her fucking knees and started taking a fucking tantrum, having a tantrum. Although that pretty much was a tantrum right there. Her tearing up the papers, tearing up the State of the Union. If anything, she probably didn't even know like what it said. In fact, she probably wasn't even listening the entire time. She was probably just sitting there biding her time till it was over, so she could just stand up and make a statement. You know, I don't mind people making a statement. That's freedom of speech. But when you get in front of a camera and you rip up the State of the Union, you're looking for attention. So that means that you can be criticized, and you will be criticized. Even though I believe in your right of freedom of speech, I will criticize you on the stupid shit that you do. I'm not saying there's just a right way or a wrong way to use your freedom of speech, but if you do use your freedom of speech, expect to get criticized about it. And when you get criticized, that means that another person's just using their freedom of speech to criticize the way you use yours. That's how a lot of arguments come. And so criticizing her on tearing the papers, perfectly okay. Criticizing Greta Thunberg, perfectly fine. She put herself in the spotlight. She should have known that she was going to get criticized. Everybody knows that. Anyway, we'll scroll down a little bit further. It says, both the outcome of the Senate trial were all certain since its first days. The suspense turned into an up-down vote late in the trial over whether or not to admit additional evidence, which only needed 51 votes to pass. For several days, Washington hung on the words of a handful of moderate senators for both Democrats and Republicans who have broken with their parties on previous votes. 2 Republicans voted with Democrats to admit additional evidence, Romney and Maine Senator Susan Collins, but the measure was defeated. Unlike Romney, however, Collins was ultimately voted to acquit Trump of the charges against him. The last-minute announcement by moderate Democrat Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia said he would convict on both counts came as a surprise to Capitol Hill. So, in short, there's, some people voting this way, some people voting that way, not, like, according to their parties, which is fine, free spirit, nothing wrong with that. What mostly mattered at the end was that an innocent man wasn't impeached of the presidency. And reactions to the verdict. In a statement of NBC White House Press Secretary Stephanie Grisham hailed out the outcome of a full vindication and exonerating for Trump. This effort by the Democrats was aimed at overturning the results of the 2016 election and interfering with the 2020 election. Okay, so which means by overturning the results, which means they didn't like that he got elected, and they don't want him to get elected last time, so they want to drag his name through the mud to lower his chances of being elected next time. That's exactly what that is. That's how they would interfere with the 2020 election, is just drag his name through the mud as much as possible and hope for the best. And it says, Grisham said after slamming the Democrats who led the impeachment efforts as well as Romney, who referred to as a failed, as well as Romney referred to as a failed Republican presidential candidate. I mean, he literally did fail, but that just doesn't hit the ear right. The president is pleased to put this latest chapter of shameful behavior by the Democrats in the past, and looks forward to continuing his work on behalf of the American people in 2020 and beyond. Following the vote, the 7 Democratic House impeachment managers defended their case in an op-ed for the Washington Post, despite having lost the trial. Their argument gave voters more clarity about the coming election. And honestly, last I checked, Trump's approval rating is bigger than ever since this impeachment fiasco. Trump will win 2020. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. He is winning 2020. Oh gosh, watch me be wrong. I'll be eating a lot of words. You know what? If he's wrong, yeah, fine, I'll eat those words. But I am 100% purely confident that he will win 2020. And he will not only make America great again, he's going to keep it great as well. Thank you for watching. You guys have a good day.